All right, guys, this is Slightly Educational Podcast, episode 5, I believe. And today we're talking about, micronations, semi-autonomous regions,
Episode 4,
basically.
but
Episode 4, my bad. Well, 5th episode we filmed.
I started. The first episode was the flag episode was 0.
0, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is episode 4. But we're going to talk about micronations and basically countries that aren't countries. So a micronation, if you don't know what it is basically a small self-proclaimed entity that claim to be independent sovereign states, but which are not acknowledged as such by any recognized sovereign state or by any supranational organization. So if you guys don't know what Sealand is, it's basically this offshore platform in England. It was like for aircrafts, right?
Yeah, it was
during the war.
No, I think it was like they had turrets on it to fight like Nazi air raids.
Mm-hmm.
So they had built those off the coast of Britain in the Atlantic to just defend.
And this guy just pieced out from England. And
Yeah,
was
so
like, I'm gonna start my own country.
They went into disuse after the war, and then what happened was there were a bunch of they called themselves pirates. They go onto these platforms so they could broadcast their free version of free music, I guess, on the radio outside of BBC One. Anyway, so the guy who started
Michael Bates,
yeah, he started. Yeah. He was on there. He was like one of the radio pirates with some other guy, and what happened is he overthrew the other guy, kicked him off the platform.
Paddy Bates. Michael Bates is his son who inherited Sealand.
Of course, yeah.
So Paddy Bates.
Paddy Bates kicked his associate pirate off the platform. So it was just him, and then he proclaimed Sealand as his own independent nation.
And they have passports and
they had passports.
They had passports.
Until someone with a passport went in and killed someone. It was like some higher profile. It's high profile because it was called an assassination instead of a murder. So someone got assassinated, and then when they searched the guy's bag, they found a Sealand passport. Because he had been issuing passports. This is like in the 90s. Because what had happened was he had his platform, and then eventually, some other radio pirate hired mercenaries to go on jet skis and boats to go attack the platform, and this is while he's away, so he's back in England for now. But his son is there, and
Michael
Bates was there. And what happened was that Michael Bates, he was attacked by the mercenaries, but then he somehow managed to find some weapons on the platform, and he took the mercenaries captive too.
Damn.
So, and then
That's pretty BA. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and then so what happened was that the mercenaries, these guys are Germans, the German government requested that the British government hand them back over. But the British government said that Sealand is 7 miles off the coast of Britain, and they only claimed up to 3 miles off. So they were saying that they had no jurisdiction over the place.
But didn't they extend it?
They did. They eventually extended it, but as of this, I don't know when this was. I think this was also in the 90s. They didn't have jurisdiction over it. So the German ambassador in the UK went over the Sealands and to negotiate the release. And eventually, after a couple days or weeks or something of negotiation, they eventually released it. And then Michael Bates and his father claimed this as some de facto recognition because the German government had sent ambassadors and the British government refused to deal with them. So they kind of used that as a claim to sovereignty.
Yeah, well, and I mean, really, that sounds like sovereignty. The definition of a sovereign country, you really just have to have a place, a person, and borders. And you have to have a permanent resident, borders, and I guess recognition by one country. But that could count. That does count in a way as recognition. Sending an ambassador.
Kind of. It's not continued recognition I don't think.
Like a one-time recognition.
Yeah.
For Sealand, but that's I feel like it's becoming more and more common too for more separatist groups, growing in countries and wanting to take over their own country. But a lot of micronations, one of the funner ones to talk about, aren't really separatist groups like Liberland. Are you up to the Republic of Liberland?
I've heard of it. But
it's basically this guy from Czech Republic so this border of Serbia and Croatia is the Danube River. Right. And the river shifted over time. But since the border is still the original river, there's some land that's not claimed by either side. So this libertarian politician basically went over there and was okay, this is... Wait, here it is. Vít Jedlička went over there and was basically we have this open land, let's create a libertarian utopia. There was nothing there. It was completely barren. And he went there and he was made these videos and put them online about moving to Liberland. How to be a libertarian utopia, which is great idea in theory. Don't know how well that would work out in practice.
Yeah.
And it's like a tiny, like, 2,000 square miles of land.
That's not. I mean, compared to countries, I guess that's a lot of land, especially for like a river meandering.
Yeah.
It must be like multiple sections, like
Probably.
not one contiguous.
Yeah, but he got 300,000 people to sign a 300,000 people to sign like yes, I'm moving to Liberland.
Oh, moving to.
Yeah, and then the Croatian government just blocked him and was like, "Don't come here."
Well, yeah, they got enough problems there already.
Yeah, and now every time he tries to go into Croatia, he gets arrested. But I applaud the dude for giving it a try, and I respect him for taking advantage. He's like, there's very like almost no unclaimed land left in the U.S. in the world. Yeah. So if you find like unclaimed land and want to start your own country, like I applaud you for taking the first steps in doing so.
Yeah, I mean you need more than just I guess unclaimed land.
Yeah, you need like land that other countries are kind of like fuck off. Like I
mean there are places, yeah, like in near Egypt and Sudan.
The Bir Tawil.
Yeah.
That's where the guy from Virginia.
Oh, okay.
The Kingdom of Western Sudan. You know that story? The daughter wanted to be a princess.
I've heard of it vaguely, yeah.
This guy's daughter wanted to be a princess, and so he was like, all right, I'll make you a princess. Instead of buying her like a princess costume from Parties R Us or like Party City, he hiked out into the middle of the desert, in the middle of the desert in between Sudan and Egypt. Mm-hmm. Bold move.
With his daughter too, or just
no, just him. I don't know if that's the like kind of setting for a 6-year-old girl.
Yeah, I see.
Like Egypt and Sudan aren't the two most peaceful countries in the world right now. Mm. He went over to this Bir Tawil, this unclaimed land, because how the land is unclaimed is because Egypt thinks the border is here.
Yeah, they both claim the what's it called, Halib Triangle.
Halib Triangle, yeah.
Yeah, they both claim that one part. So claiming the tiny portion would like annul their claims on the other parts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm gonna make you a princess, and claimed the land and called it the Kingdom of Western Sudan. And you know, the Sudanese government didn't really like the idea of a man from Virginia coming in.
Yeah, there's enough white people claiming Sudan.
Yeah. There have been enough attempts in Eastern Africa by white colonists. They don't really want it to happen again. And the Kingdom of Western Sudan actually has recognition by one country.
Who?
Not country. Do you know who it is? Liberland.
Oh, well.
The proposed libertarian utopia in the Kingdom of Western Sudan.
Well, yeah, they can all recognize each other. There's actually there's a micronation Olympics that they host.
Really?
I think it's like either biannually or every couple of years, and they only have six events, or at least back in 2000 when it was hosted in Malaysia, which is another micronation in Nevada.
Where's that? Nevada?
Yeah, it's in Nevada.
Is that Malaysia?
Malaysia. I think it's Molosia.
Malaysia. Oh yeah.
So anyway, back in 2000, they had the Micronational Olympics, and the sports were Othello, checkers, chess, the 100-meter dash, discus with a frisbee, and shot put with a tennis ball.
How many spectators do you think there were there?
I don't know. I mean, they invited a good amount of micronations. I think I don't know where it was, but there was also recently a micronation meeting in where was it? I wrote it down too. Somewhere in Georgia. Dunwoody, Georgia. A whole it's like the UN but for micronations. And there was actually like a Vice documentary episode about it, and it was just they interviewed one of the princess of Ruritania, Queen Anastasia. Yeah, and then she was saying that she actually said how micronations it's more of a political statement rather than like actual believing like in sovereignty. Mm-hmm. So like the libertarian guy or any of these guys really are just trying to make show their or either like protest government or just show like their discontent. So, I mean, it was an interesting take on micronations and what they represent.
Yeah, do you know what the CONIFA World Cup is?
No.
It's basically the World Cup for countries that are a little more like backing. So more like autonomous regions rather than micronations. So Tibet has a team that they send. It was in Abkhazia 2 years ago.
Who runs this?
CONIFA. It's headquartered in London. It's a real organization. I follow them on Twitter and Instagram. CONIFA. CONIFA. And it's the Confederation of Independent Football Associations. And they have the CONIFA World Cup. You can stream the games online here.
Oh, wow.
And Nagorno-Karabakh's in it, Tibet's in it. Karpalya, a Hungarian minority.
This isn't under FIFA, right? They don't have.
No, it's their own governing body.
Huh.
And they had the World Cup, Abkhazia 2016. Here's an example of some of the countries that were in it.
Where do they play these games?
And this one was in Abkhazia.
Oh, man.
Like, they're actually going over
These
there.
dangerous places, especially, like, for all these unrecognized countries going around. It's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Surprised it doesn't stir more of a controversy. I guess it doesn't have, like, enough of a following to really get on a country's radar, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, no one's gonna care, I guess.
Like, Tibet's playing in, like, the World Cup. Like, if Tibet was invited to play, like, an actual country, China might get up in arms with playing, like...
Yeah, I mean, plus these countries, they probably don't have the greatest soccer players anyway.
Yeah, no. There are some countries that get murdered. I feel bad. Do you know, Darfur?
Yeah, in Sudan.
Darfur. A lot of shit going on in Darfur.
They have a team?
They have a team that gets hammered every game.
Well, yeah, because they
lose every game like 30-3.
That's because they barely have any food to feed themselves. Sudanese governments, how they have soccer players.
I don't know. But here's an example of the teams that played in the World Cup. So Aymara, Elon. What's that place? It's called Elon Banin here, but Isle of Man, Padania.
Oh, Isle of Man's a real place there.
Yeah, see, because these countries have more of a footing. You know,
right.
Nagorno-Karabakh's in it. Iraqi Kurdistan, Abkhazia, Northern Cyprus.
Kurdistan. Oh my god. Northern Cyprus is there too?
Yeah. Somaliland, Western Armenia, which is the Turkish Armenia.
The United Koreans in Japan.
United Koreans in Japan. They're actually decent. But a lot of the European ones win more.
Well, I'd imagine, yeah. Probably forward.
But I think Abkhazia won this year. But look, a lot of the scores aren't even close. Like 12-0 Western Armenia to Chagos Islands. Have you heard of the Chagos Islands? British Indian Ocean Territory.
That's because they're probably busy playing cricket or something.
Yeah, probably. Abkhazia, Western Armenia, Shelky Land. But I think it is pretty neat that all these countries are like coming together. Cool and like allowing these people to play. Like the people of Tibet will, like, they're not gonna play on the Chinese national team, you know, but they should still be able to play.
Yeah, I mean they let like Taiwan. Taiwan plays in the Olympics under the.
So does Hong Kong.
Chinese Taipei. Yeah,
Chinese Taipei.
Yeah,
Hong Kong's different. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they just have to fly like some weird flag.
Yeah.
Chinese Taipei like flag.
That's not their.
And then same with Korea. They often do like a joint thing.
Yeah,
right?
they did that in the Winter Olympics. That was huge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It was probably like 5 North Korean athletes and like 200 South Korean athletes, but still, it's a good gesture.
Yeah, I mean it showed progress. Hopefully, it could have been more of a stunt though. I don't know how likely the reunification of Korea is.
They're still not reunified now.
Yeah.
So.
No.
And there's no negotiations when Trump went to Vietnam either.
Yeah, and they actually there's a more recent. So the next Konife World Cup is gonna be in Somaliland. That's like a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's it. They all gotta fly to Somaliland too.
Yeah.
And it was recently that plane that crashed in Ethiopia.
Yeah, the Ethiopia Airlines. I saw that. Do you know like the story with that? Was it like shot down or?
No, I think I think it was like this is the second time like in the past like couple months that Boeing 737 something. It's one of the new 737 planes. And second time in the past month that it's crashed. Or not month.
What was the first one?
First one was in Indonesia a couple months ago. And then so I don't know what this plane was going to. I know it was mostly non-Ethiopians I think that was on this flight. So it's kind of like I don't know if you remember like I think it was last year like that AIDS research plane crashed. All these AIDS scientists because they're onto something. I don't know where it was, but
that's kind of sus.
Yeah.
That was probably the topic of a lot of conspiracy theories.
Maybe I don't know how many pro-AIDS guys there are out there, but
yeah, but it's like the same theories as those like cancer people that think like the cure to cancer has been found and the government's like keeping it a secret from everyone.
Oh, I see.
To try and make money off cancer medicine. Maybe it was Martin Shkreli.
Yeah, that guy
sent the plane to crash.
But yeah, so the Ethiopia Airlines plane 737 got crashed because I think equipment. It was like right after launch too, so some equipment malfunction, and then Boeing stock has been down recently. Yeah,
that's just because I feel like it's one thing, to have it in like the Konife World Cup in like the country of Nice, and like Sapmi, which is that like island near Norway. I think it's part of like Norway or Sweden.
Which one?
Sapmi. It's like indigenous people of like.
Oh no, I know the northern like Swedish.
Yeah, Sami people.
Yeah.
But to have it in like Somaliland or
Pakistan, that's kind of weird.
That's kind of like dangerous.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Somaliland, but just judging by
I
know,
heard it's a lot safer than Somalia.
Really?
Yeah, like they actually have like a functioning government, unlike Somalia, where
That's
you're
good.
just running around.
Do you think are there any like micronations or autonomous regions that you want to see gain independence? That you think we would be better off with this like country being independent?
Oh, I mean,
that you think like really deserves it?
Yeah, stuff like places like I think Kosovo.
Kosovo
deserves independence.
Kosovo's so close, basically.
Yeah,
they're
they
as
have
like independent as you can get with not being like fully independent. You know?
Yeah, because there's a lot of countries that don't recognize it.
Yeah.
And I guess also I don't know how this would work, but also Palestine probably.
Palestine. Sure.
I don't want to get called anti-Semitic or something.
Yeah.
Like nowhere. But yeah, but that one's obviously a lot harder.
I think Tibet.
Yeah. Tibet has I mean, as of now, like Tibet has a lot of Chinese people though, because I know they've been moving them there. But like,
yeah,
what would you do with those guys? Move them back out?
They could become Tibetan citizens.
Maybe the problem with Tibet also is that one, it's like all in the mountains and it's landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they were independent country, like they'd kind of be reliant on China almost completely.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
Or at least gain like a special administrative region status. Like I like Hong Kong and Macau. Mm-hmm. I think that benefits positively that status because they can get the advantages and the funding from the Chinese government that they need. But there's also the major industries of Hong Kong and Macau are reliant on that special administrative region status. Like, for Macau, the gambling is outlawed in China, so they all go gamble in Macau, and that is.
It's like native reservations.
Yeah, it's like Native American reservations. I'm surprised that because Native American.
Oh yeah, whether they have teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like they have a lacrosse team.
Of course they do.
Iroquois Nation has a lacrosse team.
Yeah, they've been playing for like 300 years.
So. Yeah, but there should be like Native American because I'm surprised there isn't because they're pretty much autonomous already. Yeah, Native Americans they can govern themselves. I'm surprised there hasn't been a push for autonomy by.
Yeah, but then they just draft people who'd be like 1/32 Native American so they can keep winning these things.
Yeah.
They have like Elizabeth Warren playing on their team.
Who?
Elizabeth Warren.
Oh yeah, playing on the Cherokee soccer team.
Cherokee Nation team.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, that would go over well. But there are a lot of like you said, like political protest micronations, like this one that I've pinpointed, the country of Lovely. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It was just basically comedians as part of his set, as part of like a comic act, was like claiming his house as a country. It's basically all satire. And it was trying to be an independent country and calling it Lovely. And he was like, well, I can claim my house like this. And if I have borders, technically I'm my own country, right?
Yeah, one of the nations in that micronation like convention they had was the whole nation was literally like a rock. It was like tiny rock, like
Gibraltar.
Yeah,
a tiny Gibraltar.
They bring it whenever they want. Yeah, it's like this is my land that I claim. So it's like you can claim whatever you want, but like no one's gonna recognize that.
Yeah. I think some have recognition though, like Abkhazia and South Ossetia.
Yeah, Abkhazia and South Ossetia aren't micronations though.
Yeah, they're like autonomous regions.
Yeah.
Any other interesting ones that you pinpointed?
I mean, I looked over like the history of Malaysia. So it started in like May 26, 1977 as the Grand Republic of Voldstein by two people, James Spielman, also known as King James I, and Kevin Bao, Prime Minister. And of course the Prime Minister has most of the power. And eventually King James just abdicated his position. So it was all Bao, Prime Minister Bao running the scene. So after being like his kingdom was like migratory for some time, so he moved to Europe and it followed him, and he eventually settled in Nevada. And then in Nevada, there was another kingdom, another micronation that claimed the same land he claims. So they eventually like declared war on each other, and he had a few fights. The kingdom he fought was the Kingdom of Mustachistan, led by Sultan Ali Oxenfree.
Ali Oxenfree.
Yeah. And then eventually they won. Malaysia won. Sultan Ali agrees to pay reparations, 1 tube of cookie dough each month for 6 months. And then Malaysia also claims they're at war with the Democratic Republic of Germany. And this is like by now it's like 1999, so East Germany has already non-existed for a long time. It's actually interesting with that. There was an island off of Cuba that Fidel Castro back in like 1950s gave East Germany like an island as a gift, And then when it was like uninhabited small island, and then when Germany reunified, the Western German government never claimed sovereignty over the island. So technically, there's like a rump state of like East Germany still existing off the coast of Cuba, which is why Malaysia says they're still at war with them.
Malaysia's at war with them?
With East Germany, yeah.
This is a fun one. The Dominion of Melchizedek, which was started by this dad and his son. They moved from Colombia to the Marshall Islands because they got like ousted from Colombia because they were selling banking licenses and licensing to company under their country name.
Oh.
So they're just basically a micronation that's whole purpose is to defraud other countries' economic systems, which I think is pretty fun. Have you ever considered like starting your own micronation? I've considered it a lot.
No.
I would call it Sethonia.
Sethonia?
Yeah. Sethonia.
That's funny. The guy, the Malaysia guy, Kevin Bao, the capital of Malaysia is Bauston.
Bauston.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know what land I would claim. I could like claim to my house.
Yeah, except it's already being claimed. You have to try to find somewhere not claimed.
Unclaimed. Yeah.
I don't know where you would though.
Yeah, but all I need is recognition, someone to live there permanently. That's why the Kingdom of Western Sudan, or Northern Sudan, actually. I think it might be Northern Sudan.
Yeah, I was gonna ask why it's called Western Sudan, considering it's completely north of Sudan.
Yeah, Northern Sudan. That's why it would never be a country, because no one's gonna like move from Virginia to the middle of the desert and live there permanently.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, you also need recognition. No one's gonna recognize that anyway.
Yeah, true.
It's hard. It's too late. Too late to start new nations.
I know, it's kind of sad. Do you ever feel like you were born too late? In that.
That I can't start new nation.
Yeah.
Me personally, no. I don't feel like the past would have seemed kindly to me.
Yeah, probably as a black,
half
black, half Asian.
Mixed
you
race.
Probably wouldn't exist.
Well, yeah, I probably would, obviously, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if I would just drop down in the middle of, whatever time period, like, it probably wouldn't go down well for me.
Really? Yeah, probably not. Probably depending on where I would, it wouldn't go down. As a Jew, and
no one has to know you're Jewish.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you're Jewish until you said so.
Yeah.
Are you really? Are your parents Jewish?
My dad's Jewish. My mom.
Oh, if your mom's not Jewish, it doesn't count.
Well, in some Reform temples it counts. I've had more Jewish influence in my life than Catholic, because my mom isn't a part of a religion. She was raised Catholic, and then that whole like peanut like priest and like rape like thing happened.
Say it so lightly, like.
Yeah, the priest rapings happened, and she had to like deter herself.
That's good. Yeah. From
the church, but I think I would have enjoyed an era where I could find land and claim my own country. I think it would have been fun. You know?
Yeah.
Especially being like a geography buff, being able to have a country, just like a small country. Maybe during like the era of like major balkanization in Europe, when like everyone was just getting their own country. Yeah.
I think so great back then.
Yeah, I could get my own Sethonia.
It wasn't just like random people going out.
Yeah, it was like nation.
It was like groups of people.
Yeah.
You have to have like an ethnic group.
Yeah. But talking about like going back in time, is there like a period of time that you'd want to go back into?
No, I've already told you that the past was not good for black people. And
but like if you were like
even if I was white, like people are living a lot longer now than before. I don't think there's any time.
But just like visit, like pay a visit. Maybe Mansa Musa, like the ancient colonies of Mali. You could see some black people really thriving.
I guess, yeah.
The pre-colonial era.
Still, they live till like 30. I don't think I'd want to. I mean, I guess if I'm visiting, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're like the ghost, like, do you know like the Christmas story where the guy's like,
yeah, Christmas Carol.
No, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, it's
where he goes and like sees the world with like if he was never born.
Yeah, I see.
You go see the past. I don't know where I'd go. Maybe like the era of the Mongolian Empire. Like I know it wouldn't have been that kindly for anyone. It's kind of a very rough.
What are you trying to see?
Genghis Khan. I want to see what the guy looks like.
Don't they have like statues and stuff like.
They have like statues
that's probably not what he looked like, but
paintings of him. But I wanted to see what he actually looked like. It's like a big Mongolian.
You probably just take like the average face of like all the Mongolians because we're related to them anyway.
Yeah, but you're probably related to him a little bit.
I'm Filipino, but it's possible.
Yeah, he could have made his way down there or to China. Is your Filipino heritage like native?
No,
Filipino?
they're not. They're Chinese Filipino.
Yeah.
So they could be.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'd go like the Renaissance would be kind of cool to see, like Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel.
Would you want to go into the future?
Yeah, I want to go to the future, like seeing Mars, seeing landing on Mars. I mean, I might see that now. Hopefully.
You're a genius, Gabe. We could start our own country in Mars.
No, but there's like the Treaty of Space where it's like, or like the law of the sea applies to space, where like space is like the common heritage of mankind. That's what the UN said, which is kind of a bold claim to make. That all of the whole universe is just the common heritage of mankind.
Yeah. Especially like, who is the UN to say? Like, there's probably other people groups out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like what people have been doing for the past like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Like when the British just claimed like from coast to coast all the land. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess you could start a nation on Mars.
Because when humans eventually like colonize Mars or go to Mars, we're not gonna there's gonna be like different groups, different places. Because isn't Mars almost the size of Earth?
Yeah, it's like I don't think it's almost Venus is almost the size of Earth. Mars is a good size smaller, I think.
Yeah, but still.
I mean, it's big enough to have like different places, like definitely.
Different countries.
It depends how a colonization would work. Like, would it be colonized by like different countries, or would they like work together to do stuff?
I don't know. I feel like that's a little too optimistic.
Yeah, they'd work together.
Yeah.
Maybe it depends.
To create a society, I feel like it'd just be too competitive. You know, like it's too like China and the U.S. Like, one would want more than the other in Mars. Like there could be like one river in Mars, and they'd be like, I want.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what they find on Mars. Like, what would be useful. I mean, you ever read or watch the Expanse?
No, what's that?
That's kind of like, it's like about like in the not too distant future where like there's people have already colonized Mars and also colonized the moon, and then it's a future where eventually Mars declares independence from Earth. So the Earth is like run by the UN, and then Mars was like taken over by some separatist group, and then like Mars is its own like republic, like Congressional Republic of Mars, and then basically the whole premise of that show is that Earth and Mars are fighting over resources in the asteroid belt. So there are also people living in the asteroid belt. So like people live on Ceres and the asteroids, and they mine for like metals and
ice. There's gonna be asteroid because there's some. This is completely off topic. There's some like minerals on the asteroid belts that are worth like billions. And
of course, yeah. And there's also just there. I mean, there's recently that European probe that landed on one of the I think like a comet or something, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's the premise of the show is that they're in a cold war over asteroid belt and risk of fighting.
Do you think that's a real possibility? I think that's a real. That sounds more like a more realistic.
Like Mars declaring independence from. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that could happen.
The only problem is how would the people there breathe?
Well, they all lived. I think the point of it is that they live in like spheres, and that's kind of why like the people on Mars resent Earth, because people on Earth have it so easy they can just walk outside and breathe whatever they want. Whereas people on Mars have to like stick it out tough, and it's kind of like in the like back in the colonization times where people in the colonies had like a rough life, whereas people back in England could just easily like live it like pampered lives basically. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the same dynamic they have with Mars and Earth.
Yeah, wow, it'd be kind of tough for them to go to war though. Space Force.
Well, yeah, they have huge like spaceships and that's like interplanetary ballistic missiles, I guess.
I'm a pretty like anti-military guy, you know, just don't really think it's for me, but Space Force, I'd consider joining Space Force. Just because
joining Space Force?
Just joining Space Force. Just because imagine having the title of like Space Force Commander.
I assume they'd be same as like naval commanders, like you'd be like admiral of a fleet.
Yeah, like I'm Space Force Commander Seth. Like, nice to meet you. Like that's a power job.
Yeah.
And eventually maybe I could be the next Genghis Khan and go colonize Mars. Sethonia could be the biggest city in Mars.
Yeah, Genghis Khan wasn't colonized, so he took over a place that people were already living.
Yeah. Hey, who's to say there aren't already people living in Mars?
Oh, yeah. You can kill them all, too.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd kill them all. I could integrate them into my society.
Oh, you're definitely not Genghis Khan.
Yeah. No.
Genghis
I'm like a newer, friendlier Genghis Khan.
Alright. So not at all like him.
Mm-hmm. So going back to the topic of micronations, there are just so many. I'm looking at the list of micronations on Wikipedia, and there's so many like micronations. There's a lot in the United States that I didn't even realize existed, like the British West Florida. It's a separatist micronation founded in 2005, that wants to bring back the or striving for dominion status as a Commonwealth realm, on par with Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, the Bahamas. You get the point. Yeah, that's an odd want.
That is a weird one.
To go back to being a British colony.
Yeah, the monarchy, yeah.
Yeah. But hey.
What do you think about that actually? Do you think that the
I think British marketing is so stupid.
I agree. Yeah, they should.
They're just figureheads at this point.
Well, do you think they should abolish it though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Because they're just living tax-free lives.
Yeah, I mean the argument.
And don't they like get funding from taxes?
Yeah, taxes pay for all this stuff. The argument against it, I guess, is that they bring in money through like tourist revenue and stuff, and it's kind of like a cultural symbol, which I guess could be the case. But like, that's a lot of land they own.
I know, and you could keep like, Buckingham Palace isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, you know? And the fact that like France doesn't have a monarchy, people still visit Versailles. Yeah. You don't need people living there for them to go visit it.
Like, and yeah, I think it's basically just figureheads. They're basically celebrities.
Yeah,
they're basically like the Kardashians.
But people like him. That's why they're still there.
Yeah.
And even in Australia, they had a vote like a couple decades back, I think, on whether they should be like a republic or keep Dominion status, and they voted to keep the Queen. So like there have been votes, and she's still pretty popular.
Yeah, she is chugging along. What's the name of her son?
Prince Charles.
Prince Charles.
I think.
That guy, yeah. Do you think he's just like waiting for her to die?
I don't think he's gonna become king. He might die before his mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, is he in poor health?
No, but his mom's not in poor health either. So.
Yeah, the Queen. She is really kicking it, Queen Elizabeth II. But I think they should abolish it. Maybe after Elizabeth II. Because I think it'd be kind of rude to abolish it while this like 92-year-old woman.
How's that rude? She
still in power.
She didn't work for it.
Yeah, you're right. But I think it's like let her ride off into the sunset, and then like before like
symbolic.
Because you could call the Kardashians, I feel like, the royal family of America.
Yeah,
obviously they don't live like a tax exempt life, but
yeah,
they have the same like clout status.
I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, I see what you're trying to say, but like people don't come to the U.S. just to visit like the Kardashians' house.
Yeah, you're right. Well, maybe in like 500 years they will.
Yeah.
Who's to say Kanye West won't become president and Kim Kardashian will be the first lady
and make himself the emperor?
Yeah, whatever. Emperor of the U.S. of the New Order, the New World Order in the United States. Maybe. I could see it. I wouldn't vote for Kanye West. Has he declared official candidacy yet?
Who would you like? Under what party? Or just run as an independent?
It's Kanye, man. He can do whatever he wants. He can run as whatever he wants. But that was a big stir when he said that he was going to run for president.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe it was just a publicity stunt.
Well, yeah, it's like with half the stuff he's been doing this for.
Yeah, here. Kanye West 2020. Let's see if there's any movement on the campaign.
I don't think there has been. And even if he has, like, he wouldn't be taken seriously.
Yeah, all this stuff is from last year. All these news articles. That's a shame. I think it would be entertaining. I think if Trump can win, who's to say Kanye West can't win?
Yeah, but then he'd be running against Trump too.
Yeah. I would vote for Kanye West over Trump. Lesser of two evils.
That's a really hard lesser of two evils considering like, they support each other.
That's a worse than Clinton and Trump. That'd be even more unpopular presidential election.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what positions Kanye West actually holds.
I don't know if he holds really any.
Yeah, people are saying the same thing about Donald Trump too.
Yeah, but people are still saying that. I don't know if Donald Trump actually holds any positions other than that he needs to build a border wall. We need $8 billion more funded for the border wall. Yeah,
they recently proposed their budget too for 2020.
Yeah,
it's not going to get taken though. But.
Oh, there's a micronation that claims the Wake Atoll in the Pacific Ocean.
Is it one of those ones that got
one of those like U.S.
bombed?
Yeah, one of those like U.S. just islands. That's the best place to go, I'd say, if you want to start your own country.
That's like the worst place to go.
You think?
Radioactive islands in the middle of the Pacific?
I'm not saying they have to be radioactive, but I'm just saying islands that have kind of been left alone by their like host countries. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a reason why they're left alone. It's not like...
There's nothing there.
Yeah. How are you going to live there? You definitely can't convince people to move there.
Yeah, well, you could try. Someone, like, the ideal setting would be someone that's like a big technology baron. Look, we were talking in the last episode, like Amazon being their own country. Like, they have enough funding and resources to like move to a country.
They could start making new islands too, like what China's doing in the South China Sea.
Yeah, just making islands so they'd be like, hey, look at all these Chinese people here. Like,
how did that happen?
Yeah, this has to be part of China now. Like this whole Spratly Islands and everything has to be part of China now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also other separatist movements in China, like the Uyghur people, but those are like the weakest ones.
Yeah,
like there's no. I'm sure they want sovereignty. They have East Turkestan. Like that's what they.
That's what they're called. Yeah.
Yeah, East Turkestan.
Because they're like Turkic people, like Kazakhs.
There are people from East Turkestan in Arlington. There was a girl in my art class. I feel like such a dick. There was this girl in my art class who was from like Uyghur. She was Uyghur, and she was from East Turkestan. And I kept asking her, I was like, "What country are you from?" She was like, "East Turkestan." That's not a real place. Like,
oh, man.
Where are you from? I didn't even know it existed. Yeah, I was just completely. I was like, "Where are you from?" Like, that's not a real place. She was like, "No, it's East Turkestan. It's a real place." I was like, "That's not a real place." And eventually, she was like, "I'm from Kazakhstan." But I just completely disrespected her. But I think of all the like Chinese regions, so let's say like Taiwan, Tibet, Macau, Hong Kong.
But Taiwan is like de facto independent.
Yeah.
China doesn't do anything there.
Yeah, China should F off of Taiwan. I would want to see an independent Hong Kong. Just like I'm so enthralled in the Hong Kong culture. And like I think Hong Kong would be better off keeping its cuz it's such like a capitalist hub.
But they're not going to keep like China's whole thing with the UK was that they would guarantee the democracy for like 70 years, and then after that
is 50. It's
2047,
yeah.
2047, yeah.
And then 2049 is when Macau's run out.
I see. There you go. So like,
what's Macau gonna do though? Because they're so reliant on that. Because their whole economy is reliant on gaming.
Yeah, they'll probably make an exception because China loves making money off of like the capitalist system in Macau and Hong Kong. They just don't like them being able to choose who leads them.
Yeah.
So they just keep on appointing. They want to be able to appoint leaders themselves.
So, would Hong Kong? Do you think Hong Kong and Macau would still like maintain their autonomous?
I think China's in a better position than they are now because like back when Hong Kong, like I think we talked about this last episode too. Back when Hong Kong joined China, they were like 25% of their GDP.
Mm-hmm. Now it's like 3%.
Yeah, now it's like 3%. So like they don't really have much to lose if they just take over Hong Kong.
Yeah.
They could march the whole People's Liberation Army across into Victoria Bay or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Take over.
I think it's kind of funny because when the reason Hong Kong ended up going back to China was because in the treaty made
in the Opium War they had like a 99-year lease on the island, which is like as good as forever. Of course.
That's what the guy said, as good as forever, but obviously it wasn't as good as forever. Because, but that's like. They stuck to their word.
Well, because back then they never thought China would like make a comeback.
Yeah, make a big comeback.
Yeah, and then so after they traded back, they had the 50-year lease or 50-year like republic guarantee, which is as good as forever basically. Yeah, until it's not. And
now China's the new UK, going around basically recolonizing Africa, putting like funding.
What's that called? Like the
Silk Road.
I don't think Silk Road. Like
One Belt, One Road.
One Belt, One Road.
One Belt, One Road thing, where they're just putting railroads. They're building railroads to like Croatia, from like Beijing to like, what is it, Zagreb? Like,
Croatia. Yeah.
Yeah, Croatia, just to spread, and like Moldova and like random Eastern European countries. To try and, I mean, it's genius to be able to.
They're pretty smart, yeah.
I mean, that is a train ride I would never want to take from Moldova to China.
train to Beijing.
It's like a 5-day train ride.
That's what I mean. Like Kim Jong-un had his train ride to Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if he already went to Moscow, but he's going to Moscow.
By train.
I assume so. He doesn't have a plane. That's the whole reason why he couldn't fly to Vietnam. He doesn't have a plane.
So he has nuclear weapons. I'm surprised that guy doesn't have a plane.
I don't think it's expensive to run planes. I don't think he has enough like. Who's gonna sell him planes? Boeing can't sell him planes.
Yeah.
Neither can Airbus. So.
Yeah, you're right.
But an armored train sounds really cool. Like, it's just a long train ride to Moscow.
An armored train. He's probably a nice ass train.
Oh yeah.
I've never been. Have you ever been on like an Amtrak or like a
all the time
train?
To Boston, New York.
I've never been on a train.
They're really cool.
They're like old fashioned and classy. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know if they're classy, but they're really cool. It's nice. The problem is it's like not that much. It's cheaper if you buy in advance than planes, but like it's not that much cheaper. So if you're trying to get somewhere in a hurry, then you're better off taking the plane. Mm-hmm. But like to Boston, it's like 8 hours maybe. New York's like 4 hours. So to New York especially, it could be worth it because like the amount of.
But it's like 4 hours to drive to New York.
Yeah. Yeah. So but you don't have to drive. Like for the plane, especially like you have to get like a half an hour early to the airport. Mm-hmm. Train you can just walk on. So that's like one of the benefits, and it drops you off in the middle of the city. Yeah. So unless you're flying to like JFK, you're gonna have to go somewhere further. Yeah,
but going back on the One Belt, One Road policy, I think that's like really, really neat because China was decimated at World War II. It was not a power at all. Like Japan really just took their booty hole.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, they defeated like the nationalist China, which is why the nationalists were at such a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. Whereas the communists could just hide out in the mountains. Yeah. And eventually come back after the war's done. And sweep through China and force the nationalists back to
Taiwan. Yeah. What was the guy? Chiang Kai-shek?
Chiang Kai-shek, yeah.
Was like the leader who got forced to Taiwan.
And I mean, not that he was a good guy or anything. He was also a dictator.
Yeah.
He was just like a nationalist dictator, whereas Mao Zedong was a
communist dictator. Yeah, but I think it's like clever because China putting all this money into countries like.
Yeah, it's definitely smart. It's called soft power. Like instead of hard power, military, just investing money. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and especially when all the countries can't pay China back the money that they like owe them.
Yeah, Korea. It's like predatory lending.
Yeah, predatory lending to the country. Like, there's no way Djibouti and Eritrea are going to be able to pay off billions of dollars of loans from China in the near future. Yeah. You know the first military base built outside of China, do you know where it was built?
Djibouti, I assume. But they host a lot of bases. I think they have a couple U.S. bases too.
Yeah, I mean it's a strategic region like by Somalia.
It is,
and on the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, Djibouti just sells out all their bases.
And I have a friend whose parents are with State Department and they live in Uganda, and he said that like the way that African people perceive the Chinese is how like the like stereotypical like Europeans used to perceive the Jews. That they like have all the money.
Oh. Okay.
And like they're like the Jews of Africa. Like everyone thinks they like own all the banks and like own all the money.
Yeah, because where else would a Chinese person be there?
Yeah. Other than to own the store, and they like operate most of the stores.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of like sucky.
Yeah, because then all the money's going back to China. Then even if like even the other benefits.
I feel like you're not really stimulating the economy as much.
No, yeah, it was kind of like there used to be a campaign. It's like buy a shoe, lend a shoe, or whatever. It's like you buy a pair of shoes and some company would donate shoes to like African kids. But the problem is like donating shoes to African kids puts local shoemakers out of business.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes away money from the African economies and just gives it to the U.S. again.
But there are a lot of African economies that are on the come up. There are some that are on the come down. Like I watched this video about Angola the other day. 98% of Angola's entire economy is from the oil sector.
Oh yeah, because a lot of these countries rely on oil. Angola has a really cool flag.
Yeah.
It's like a hammer and sickle, but with the gear.
And like the black and red. That's just really like cool. The black, red, and gold is just like a solid color scheme.
But yeah, no, I mean the thing is with African countries is that like they're having huge population growth right now. So like they just have a lot of people to rely on, and it's like the average age in like Niger is like 14. So like we're older than most people.
So they have like a young workforce.
So they have a lot of people, and they have a huge workforce. But a lot of them, especially like in the Gulf, rely on oil, and they're not diversifying. So they may end up like Venezuela, where they're just too reliant on something, and then when it runs out, their money's just dried up.
Yeah. But the country I was gonna say that's like providing the best model for other African countries is called Rwanda. Rwanda is really.
What are they doing?
I don't know what they're doing. They're a very progressive country, especially when it comes to women. They have the highest percentage of women.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
partly because during the Rwandan genocide, a lot of the people that were killed were men.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, a lot of there's so many women left over. But their economy is just growing, and they've really recovered quite well. Their leader is a little authoritarian. But I feel like in a lot of rebuilding countries, you need somewhat of an authoritarian leadership.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Like Taiwan, Chiang Kai-shek was an authoritarian. And even in Singapore now, like it's I wouldn't call it a democratic place, right? Like you can't even chew gum on the streets or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's pretty like a dictatorship. Same with South Korea. South Korea was a dictatorship. And even Japan was under a U.S. military dictatorship. So a lot of these countries kind of like I guess are run by like military juntas and.
But it can help keep shit in line. You
know
what I'm saying? Like,
and even China is a good example of a country that's had a huge economy, and they definitely aren't a democracy. So it's kind of like a modern challenging of the notion that like democracy is like the best form of government.
Yeah, because China is proving it completely wrong in every way, shape, and form.
And especially with the Belt and Road thing, that they're showing African countries that maybe democracy isn't the best choice.
Yeah, because, and we saw this with Saddam Hussein, and once he was ousted from power in Iraq, and how it just went to shit. It's like. A leader, like, totalitarianism is better than anarchy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the U.S. also came in and just left a power vacuum in.
Yeah, they didn't really plan that out.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, the U.S. isn't averse to establishing dictatorships. We've talked about this in the last episode, too. They just install dictatorships wherever they want, especially in Latin America. So, I mean, neither the U.S. nor China are adverse to doing stuff like that. It just so happens that China is setting a model. And
and America also is taking kind of a little bit more of an isolationist approach. You know, with this growing like America first.
Are you talking about now?
Yeah, like right now. Well, whereas China.
I mean, you could say that, but I mean, like we're still involved heavily in stuff.
Oh like yeah.
Supporting the opposition in Venezuela. And just taking. I mean, we're not as out there as China is in like foreign investments, but I say the U.S. still has a pretty large role in the world as a whole.
Do you think it's like China's investments, like everything's gonna come home to roost, and like because the danger with that is that if the economy of China goes down, then the economy of these other countries.
The problem is China they've been able to keep their like authoritarianism right now because they've been able to placate their public with like fast growing economy, but as their economy slows down and their like economy's growth is leveling out, people are getting mad, right? People are realizing that the growing middle class of China is realizing how authoritarian the government is, and it's leading to more. I don't know if I want to say more protests because it's not really.
They're definitely more outspoken. Like you're hearing on the news, like citizens of China. Wasn't there that like protest like a couple weeks ago, like last month? Like there was some protest in China where I saw that on the news and I was amazed, because you don't really suspect people like when we view China. I feel like we view like a bunch of citizens content with their government, which for the most part.
They are.
Yeah, for the most part they are, but
like we said, because they've been doing so well
and been growing so fast.
And as they start to level off, people will start to realize that not everything's dandy in China.
Maybe there'll be a revolution in China, like a people revolution.
Oh, after like 100 million people died the first time.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll retreat too to the Spratly Islands.
Spratly Islands start just
another
more like de facto region.
Taiwan is actually the second time a Chinese government has retreated to the islands.
What's the first?
The first time was when the nationalists kicked out the old Qing dynasty. Or no, I'm sorry, no. When the Qing kicked out the Ming dynasty, I think the Ming had retreated to the islands.
What islands?
Taiwan? Yeah, so that was the second time.
Damn.
But back then, they didn't have that many people move. But that was the first time was when they kicked out most of the Aboriginal Taiwanese people.
Yeah. Yeah. There still is some pocket of native Taiwanese people.
Yeah, they should start their own soccer team.
Yeah, they should start their own soccer team playing the Konaifu World Cup.
The problem is a lot of Taiwanese people who aren't Aboriginals. There are a lot of Elizabeth Warren Taiwanese people who claim they're Aboriginals when they're really not.
Elizabeth Warren. That's going to become a new phrase for someone that claims they're native, but is not native. Elizabeth Warren type. So, any last comments, Gabe, about Micronations or any of the other world events we talked about? We're kind of running low on time here.
Yeah, no.
All right. Yeah, so see you guys next time. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Slightly Educational. If you have any thoughts, comments, concerns, reactions, anything you want us to know, any suggestions for topics we should talk about, email funnybusiness49@gmail.com. Great email name.
Or comment on the YouTube video.
Comment on the YouTube video. Follow us on Spotify. Add us on podcasts on Apple. Tell your friends. We're growing slowly but steady. I think
last episode only got like 3 views as opposed to like the 7 you normally get.
Yeah.
So we're down a little bit.
So watch our content. But I have some promise for the future. So as always, I'm Seth.
I'm Gabe.
And see you guys next time.